Inside your body, right now, there's this hidden pressure that's absolutely critical for your ability to see the world. The thing is, you can't feel it, you can't sense it at all. But if it gets out of balance, well, the consequences can be devastating. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this silent force and figure out why managing it is so key to protecting our sight.
And let's just start with the high stakes, okay? This is what happens when that pressure inside the eye gets too high for the optic nerve, your eye's data cable to the brain, to handle. It gets slowly, silently crushed.
I mean, that's the real threat here, isn't it? This isn't something you feel, like a headache or a sore muscle. It's this gradual, completely invisible process. By the time you actually notice something is wrong with your vision, a lot of the damage is unfortunately already done.
And this right here, this gives us a pretty chilling look at the outcome. See those dark patches? Those represent parts of the world you just can't see anymore. It's not like looking through a tunnel. It's more like parts of the picture have just been erased. And the scariest part? They don't come back.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this pressure, we have to start with the condition it's most famous for causing. Let's dive into our first section, glaucoma, this silent threat.
So look at the official definition here. It's interesting, right? It focuses on the damage to the optic nerve. That's the end result. But what's so incredibly important is that there's one single major risk factor that we can actually do something about to stop this from happening.
So what is that one factor? The one thing we can actually control? Well, that brings us right to section 2. The key to this whole puzzle, the one thing we can measure and manage, is called intraocular pressure, or just IOP for short.
And this is the headline. This is the big takeaway. Your age, your family history, your genetics, you can't change any of that. But the pressure inside your eye, that is something we can actually influence. So it's absolutely crucial to understand what it is and how it works.
So what is it exactly? Well, to put it simply, the front part of your eye is filled with this clear, watery fluid. It's called the aqueous humor. IOP is just the pressure that this fluid pushes on the inside of your eyeball. Think of it just like the air pressure inside a tire. And that tire analogy is perfect, really, because the eye needs that pressure to hold its perfect round shape. That shape is absolutely essential for light to focus correctly on your retina. You see, if there's too little pressure, the eye would kind of collapse. But if there's too much, that's when it starts to damage all those delicate parts inside, like that optic nerve we saw earlier. And this balance is incredibly precise. The normal, healthy range for eye pressure is somewhere between 10 and 21 millimeters of mercury. Yeah, that's the same unit we use for blood pressure. It's a really narrow target zone that your body is constantly working to maintain.
So how on earth does the eye stay within that tiny range? Well, it's performing this constant, really delicate balancing act. Our third section is all about the eye's internal plumbing system and how it works.
Okay, this is so cool. This shows the simple but brilliant system at work. The best way to think of it is like a sink. On one side, you've got a faucet. That's a structure called the ciliary body, and it's always producing fresh, watery fluid. Then on the other side, you've got the drain. It's a spongy, mesh-like tissue that constantly lets the old fluid out. It's literally the eye's own plumbing system.
And here's the crucial point. For that pressure to stay nice and stable, the amount of fluid coming in has to exactly equal the amount of fluid going out. If that faucet turns up, or, and this is way more common, the drain starts to get a little clogged, the pressure inside the eye has nowhere to go but up.
All right, now this is where it gets really fascinating, because that delicate balance, it isn't static. It can actually be influenced by totally normal, everyday things you do, and you probably don't even realize it. So check this out. Just by changing your body position from sitting up to lying flat on your back, you can raise your eye pressure by a few points. It's basically because of a tiny backup of fluid pressure in the veins around your head when you lie down. Who knew? Ever lift something heavy and kind of hold your breath and grunt? That has a name. It's called the Valsalva maneuver. And when you do it, it increases the pressure in your chest and head, which makes it harder for fluid to drain from your eye. And yeah, it temporarily spikes your IOP. But hey, it's not all bad news. There are positive things at play too. Going for a run or doing some other kind of aerobic exercise can actually lower your IOP. It seems to work by basically turning down that faucet we talked about, so it produces a little less fluid. So with all these little fluctuations happening all the time, how do doctors actually keep tabs on this super important number? Well, that brings us to our next section.
how we actually measure eye pressure. Let's meet the tools of the trade.
Okay, so there are basically two main ways to think about measuring IOP. The first is called applanation. That's kind of like gently pressing on an inflated balloon. It measures the force you need to flatten just a tiny little spot. The other is indentation, which is more like poking the balloon. It measures how much the surface gives way when you push with a specific weight. And you can see how the technology has evolved over time. On the left, that's the big, super precise machine you'll find in an eye doctor's office. That's still the gold standard. But on the right, you've got these incredible modern portable devices that let doctors get a quick and easy measurement pretty much anywhere. Okay, let's bring all this home in our final section. We've seen what IOP is, we've seen what affects it, and we've seen how we measure it. So now we can finally answer the big question. Why does your IOP matter so much? But here it is, the final crucial piece of the puzzle. That number we measure at the doctor's office, let's say it's 16, isn't actually constant. With every single beat of your heart, a tiny surge of blood enters your eye, causing the pressure inside to spike and fall in this tiny rhythmic pulse. Your IOP isn't a static number, it's alive and it's constantly in motion.
And that right there brings us to our final, thought-provoking question. We know IOP changes when you lie down, when you exercise, and literally with every single beat of your heart. So, is that one snapshot measurement, taken for a few seconds at the doctor's office, really giving us the whole story? That's the central challenge in managing glaucoma and protecting our sight for the future.